Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Hayley Mitchell Haugen, and I'm the editor of Sheila-Na-Gig Online and Sheila-Na-Gig Editions. And tonight we've gathered to celebrate the publication of Kris Whorton and her book, Everyday Omens. We're excited to have Kris read from this tonight. And then we have a selection of authors from our spring issue of Sheila-Na-Gig Online. Kris, it's great to see you again. I'm going to just start with one of your blurbs at the back of the book, just to give people a little taste, and then I'm going to read Kris's bio if we don't know her, and then we're going to have a great reading from Kris. So this blurb is by KB Ballantyne. She's also one of our Sheila-Na-Gig authors, and also lives in Tennessee. So it's fun to have someone from your own state. Kris Whorton's Everyday Omens is imbued with fresh insight as she explores memories of childhood to adulthood and back again in artful lines. This collection is a poignant reminder of both the joys and insecurities of growing up, as it seeks to understand how we are to navigate the past. Whorton is a gifted poet who sees clearly the many miracles that are too often overlooked, and she reminds readers in a strange relief to fill your pockets with apple blossoms, make your own golden rules. These poems are a balm for the soul, and they are worth reading and reaching for again and again. That's KB Ballantyne. Kris Whorton is the author of the poetry collection Alchemy, and she's originally from Boulder, Colorado, and she has lived in the South since 1997. She teaches creative, scientific, and professional writing at the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, where she also served as an assistant director for the Meacham Writers Workshop. Her poems, fiction, creative nonfiction have appeared in all kinds of journals and anthologies. She holds an MFA in creative writing from the Rainer Writing Workshop and has worked with teens, adults, and incarcerated writers in Hamilton and Bradley counties. In the jails there. Okay. She lives in the woods with her husband and two Australian shepherds who have been locked out of the reading tonight because they can't be trusted. Welcome, Kris. Great to see you again.
Thank you, Hayley. They cannot be trusted, absolutely. So, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to work with you, Hayley, and with Sheila-Na-Gig. So, I will just go ahead and get started so other people can also read. This first poem, I think, says a lot about how I was shaped as a child and into the human that I am now. Please don't hold it against me. This one is called Why I Don't Go to Disneyland. Amusement parks make me sick. Standing in lines with other hot, sweaty people, kids jostling, whining, pushing each other. On my first trip, my brothers, our parents, melted. Sunshine and heat, still air. Imagining how my dad agreed to a day at an amusement park sends me spinning and jerking in a plastic teacup, free-falling in a clackety roller car. Many years later, my husband and I take my stepson on a day too cold for resin logs that float, bob, splash chlorine. The boy, so thin, blue-lipped and pale, is wet as a seal. We stomp puddles. Spun sugar and cotton candy goo smear our hands and face. We stand under an awning, eat popcorn too yellow, so salty it makes our heads throb. From that moment, we can go forward, find the haunted mansion, It's a Small World, the Pirates of the Caribbean. We can still be a family when we're together. But on this cold, rainy day, they head to the men's room to wash up, and I don't wait. I look for the nearest gate, slip out like a thief, breathe deeply, let the chill breeze lick my skin. Thanks. This next poem, since I mentioned my dad in that one, I thought I'd follow with this one. It's after Mary Oliver's Wild Geese. It's called In the Family of Things. Sunday morning, 1974. I would never be good. but I got down on my knees and picked up the trash that I spilled across the kitchen floor, although I said I didn't. I loved lying. The world was mine when I made it up. My father watched, hands at his sides, not on me. He never hit us, but his gaze was turned to the window and the rain. He longed for landscapes filled with great pine trees, aspen groves, tumbles of stones and rivers, not one with mortgages and common things like middle children, needy and sullen, who grow into womanhood, childless and distant. So I have one more that is, I guess, well, maybe I have a couple more that are sort of childhood poems, and then we'll move on. This one's called Summer of 12 Showers. As Hayley mentioned, I grew up in the West, and my family did exclusively road tripping. So this is about one of those trips. Summer of 12 Showers. Prince Rupert, Juneau, Skagway. We drove from Colorado ever northwest in a Volkswagen van. Took ferries when land ended, stopped at campgrounds, often with showers. Never far enough from home to forget I'd learned too much about my body from an older neighbor. White Horse, Destruction Bay, Williams Lake. I fed the coins, soaped up quickly, washed the oil from my hair. My body and otters, slick with soap scum, mine, but not mine. The cold water couldn't clean me, though I closed my eyes, turned and scrubbed under the sad water spray. Chicken, Seward, Talkeetna. Each time my mother wanted a posed picture, I shrank. My hair, lank and dirty, unremarkable. Never thick or pretty. I grimaced, tried to be in front of a glacier, a lake, on a picnic bench, in our campsite, in my own body, in front of the camera. That watchful eye that captured a moment, held it long past the life I left behind. Canicross, Ninilchik, Homer. But not past the sick hurt inside me, not past what I felt being held too tightly, touched how and where I didn't want to be touched. I tried to forget, counted the weeks, walked shorelines, peered into tidal pools at worlds into which I longed to disappear. I think this next poem's maybe a little funny. Sometimes people find it depressing, but I'll just say that I'm not a big birthday celebrator. I don't dread them, but I find myself introspective. This poem is called At the Corner of Encroaching Birthday and Future Unknown. Cells dying, hair clumping in the shower, skin slumping where it once stretched tight. That conviction you hold that you control anything as you plan your morning, your week, your life, is not what it was. You schedule a trip to the coffee shop, a stop at the store. You wend through town to the office, teach a class. Each moment is at once that moment and every other before it. This latest birthday sits around your neck, a too tight collar. No one sings from the mountaintop. The party, if there is one, ends and you're back at the store putting oat milk and cilantro in your cart, pushing it, yourself, inexorably toward the next latte, the next lecture on an ancient Greek epic no one in your class read. Your next birthday, a chapter you wish would go unnoticed. The one you wish you could skip along with the doldrum days of summer, all conversations about politics and religion. This one's about a friend of mine. I will own that I've never tried Tinder, so just so that's clear up front. Tinder swipe. She is Madame Bovary looking for her dream man, an escape from boredom, from a husband whose voice is like a drill whining that the world didn't give him gold. Children she can't satisfy despite working 3 jobs. Feeding dogs, cleaning a house never clean enough, though she puts her shoes on the minute she rolls out of bed. Picks up dirty shirts, jeans from the corners of rooms, sweeps up piles of hair, forgotten toys, washes dishes that should already be dry and away. Swiping left, right, each night, she looks for a Big Dipper filled with light, blackberries without seeds, for someone to stroke her skin satin, lull her to a deepest sleep, coax her awake the way a cloud of bees alight on a daisy to find nectar. No one appeals. Each image fills her with the dark of Lake Baikal, that 5,000-foot deep Siberian beauty, located inland but with seals. Seals? How to find this kind of wonder? How to find someone she feels she's known forever, one to embrace while spinning infinities in the cold water. This next one, I guess, is sort of in that same vein. Different friend, though. So this is actually not about me. This is about my friend who came up with the title. This was about 35 years ago, maybe longer. It's called How to Call in Sick from Another State. Tell your boyfriend you have a business trip and let him take you to the airport. He doesn't need to know you're meeting the man who calls you every morning from Amsterdam. The man, not a client, but a coworker you barely knew before he left the country. Sometimes he asks about software updates or who's in trouble with the boss. But mostly you talk about the slanting rain in Holland, how the snow glints outside your office window, how you miss each other. At the airport, call your boss. You couldn't ask for vacation time because you don't have any. You couldn't call from home. Your boyfriend was there. Let the boss's phone ring. Hope the flight announcement stop for that 1-minute call. Hope you get his voicemail. And when you do, say you're sick. Board a plane to Chicago. 3 hours later at the hotel, step into the man's arms. Feel the way he takes you in, makes your body quiver. Let the fever take you under. So we're going back to childhood now for a few minutes. This one's called A Wolf Searching. When my older brother calls, he says, "Sister," and I am 16 again. He is standing in the cracked open doorway, the hall light behind him bending, an intangible melody between us. I am in trouble. "What is your problem?" he asks. I want to say, I am a wolf searching for home. When he steps away, I swear to the shadows shifting behind him. When my older brother calls, he says, "Are you coming out soon?" He is out west in our parents' yard, or his own, a man now in his 60s, and his words hold me the way I held him when I was 8, my arms tight and certain as a vice, as he pedaled his bike hard to get us home. Blood from my knife-cut finger spattered his white t-shirt. Hummingbirds swarmed the feeders at the back door as we dodged to get inside. My blood left a trail the color of their throats, one anyone could follow. When my older brother calls, he says, "Come anytime." Green-throated hummingbirds buzz the feeders on my deck, their wings impossible to see. Jays, chickadees, wrens, and redstarts soar from tree to tree on my held breath. Not just now, I say, gazing at knuckle-sized tomatoes, golden globes outside my glass doors, lighting a path into my wilderness. So this next poem, I'll just read it. I think it's all there. This bright moment, the young pelican sleeping on the pier ends when I learn North Florida has river otters, and I see one dead in the center of a two-laned road. Trash, I think at first, a tire, and nearly crash into a marsh when I mistake the gas for the brakes, when I imagine what I would do to miss an otter on the road. This wide, flat landscape, this world filled with people I will never understand any more than I do the pull of the tides or the lure of blue sky and water or the light in this corner of the country where a dolphin fishes close to shore and I see her eye, see into her golden life as she herds red fish fry for her child or partner. The otter is an unexpected creature in this land of blinding brightness, stinging salty air. This morning's shine glints off a white pelican's wing and into me as I leave the otter in the rearview mirror, carry its once living magic with me like a shield. So we're going to shift to chickens now. My husband and I have had chickens for years, and they're such interesting creatures, and I contemplate them a lot. So this is first time outside. The chick digs into my forearm with her dinosaur claws, tilts her head sideways, eye to the sky. She sees more than I can, ultraviolet light, shades of this blue day, the first in a week. A hawk screams. The chick cowers, hears more than I can hear. How close an enemy is, how that bird's call is different from my soft words. Until my chicks reach this feathered stage, they are fragile fluff. Each time I seek them out, I worry I'll find them dead under their heat lamp in our shop. As they feather, I take them out to learn the world they'll live in, where wire mesh and wood will keep them safe. How heavy my heart feels as this chick blinks, lemony light. Life is unknowable, and I know this, but the chick doesn't. How slow my blood flows through my body as I try to disappear so she can feel the space around her without me feeling any of it. She tips her head to study me, steps to my hand, sits, her heat warm in my palm. I wonder at her trust, then realize she doesn't know not to trust. She knows gentle touch, electric fear, the way living things are hardwired to know when to run away, when to hide, when to let the shadow of a larger creature protect us when we turn our face up for the sun's kiss. So I've got two more here, if that sounds okay. I think this one's a little more in keeping with the title, Everyday Omens. This one's called How to Practice Augury. Starlings and their smoke cloud murmurations are the surest sign the symphonies unfurl above us. A crow's call foretells calamity, a dove's peace. This is what the ancients said. As a child, I didn't watch birds or listen to their songs and only noticed robins picking fat worms from the lawn. I dismissed all birds as simply birds, as though nothing could be learned from a young dead one in the road, as though birds had no urge to push their offspring forward, no wish to see them fly in air as clean, sparkling as the dreams they held. Years later, I watched the flick of bluebirds when they lifted off reeds. Kestrels and red-tailed hawks soared big skies. Blue jays and magpies badgered campers for food, scrounged carcasses along a trail. Bald eagles were rare until I saw 100 or more perched along the Chilkat River in Alaska. They waited, keen eyes on the water as fat, red-backed salmon fought the current before they were carried into the sky. Each feather I found after that was worth consideration. From the hospital window, while my father has blood drawn, I spot black-headed vultures in relief against the sky. I used to watch them circle overhead and wonder at the death they sought, until I learned they are symbols of protection, grace as they soar high above scruffy desert, comfort in their shadow on the ground. So this last one, my friend Jessica Barksdale, who's going to be reading in a few minutes, she told me recently when we were talking on the phone that I'm pretty clear about things I do and don't want to do. And this poem was written some time ago, but it really illustrates that I'm pretty clear on things. So this is called Only the Stars. To live in space, I would have to learn more about heavenly bodies, the sparkle of pinholes, the hazy cloud of our galaxy, a luminous veil. I know our sun is a star and Earth is not. The rest is a mystery. How rockets or satellites traverse the expanse, distances measured in light years, why we yearn for the moon or another planet we'll try to reshape into Earth instead of cherishing our home. Others can go when it's time, but I don't want to travel anywhere that can't be measured in miles or kilometers. I don't want to be suspended in a silent state as I leave radiant Earth behind. I refuse to learn a different planet's day or traverse its barren gullies, lifeless and unknown. What if, like when I scuba dive, I use up my air too quickly? I couldn't surface in space, make it to safety on some distant red shore. In space, or on another world, I wouldn't hear the shin-shin of corn snow falling, might never see snow again. Or our moon, a crescent, full, or a ghostly memory. I don't want to watch my planet rotate from soundless space as each continent passes before my eyes and then is gone, a last fleeting glimpse of all I've ever known. I'd rather stay rooted on this earth until I pass into mystery with only the stars to guide me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kris. Great to hear these, and just so vivid, and each one's its own little journey that just draws us in and keeps us there. So just so great to celebrate this book. So if you're just tuning in, we are celebrating Everyday Omens by Kris Whorton. It's been out for a little bit now, but not too long. So grab your copies if you don't have one yet. And next, we are happy to move into our invited mic portion of the evening with contributors from our spring issue of Sheila-Na-Gig Online, now in our 10th year of publication, which just, freaks me out immeasurably. But here we are. So, and we have Jennifer Kanke from Florida who's going to start us off. Hi, Jen.
Thank you, Hayley. I'm going to be reading two poems from my upcoming collection that's coming out later in the year from Sheila-Na-Gig. The first poem is about Cale Chernin, who was a Canadian actress and director who was diagnosed with ovarian cancer and eventually refused treatment. So that's the context you need for this one. Little stone, little stone. There is a better metaphor, and you deserve that one. But I do not know it yet. So I give you this rock being thrown into still waters, the ripple spreading wider and wider to the shore of the lake long after that first stone has sunk down to the bottom. that disappointed little stone who always wanted to be where the streets thronged with people, who never knew what kind of stone she was, but knew what kind of stone she wanted to become. That stone who etched on herself a history written in comings and goings forever. That stone who chose going down with glamour to staying afloat, clinging weakly to each painful day. And the next one is about my own experiences with ovarian cancer. And this one is called Better For. A man has brought his own lunch, or had it brought to him by his wife. I can't turn down free stuff to eat, so I eat a sandwich that comes with the chair, a meal fit for a ribbon warrior. I wish there was a better metaphor to use. My body has done this all to protect itself. From what? I'm not sure. What I fight is my own self, my own overreaction. Or maybe we're warriors because we do as we're told. Follow orders, good little soldiers, trusting our commanders and their methods are safe, beyond sponsored studies and researcher bias. I find the exact right words hard to come by, so I think I'll just go ahead and write a lot of the wrong ones instead. Thank you.
I guess it is my turn now. I'm Sarah Elkins. I am reading tonight from West Virginia, and these are a couple poems. The first one is in the most recent issue, and another one is published elsewhere, but they'll both be in my collection that comes out hopefully the end of this year. My father emails me, "Happy birthday. You gave me a globe on my 10th birthday, which I spun until the equator peeled away, until there was no USSR, until this email. I try to imagine a time when I will not know my son's birthday, when 8/27/08 doesn't roll out like a password at doctor's offices, on summer camp applications, or in lone moments just because I like its symmetry. It's 7 syllables, speeding up in the middle, slowing on the return to 8. I wonder about this email, the first in years, tethered to nothing, not even my birthday. What was it that made you think to send it? An El Camino blasting, "We built this city," improbable muscadines growing along a cracked sidewalk, the waft from a distant chicken house. Perhaps a skinny girl with short black hair alone in the baking aisle, staring up at the pink and green candles. And I'll read one more. Boy as weather event, the same boy that is in that other poem. He's now graduating from high school in a month, and this felt like an apt poem to read for him. Boy as weather event. The boy is crackling, electric in his nowness, 19 days out from his 16th birthday, gathering energy, potentiating. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Debbie, not Deborah or Deborah, these are flippant times, is turning the silver underbellies of the lindens leaves skyward, charms scintillating, signifying a leaves taking to wind. The boy is counting, converting pounds to kilograms, units of expansion. The calorie is difficult to quantify. Better than to account for carbohydrates and proteins per hour of explosion, potential energy measured in joules, measured in micro expressions, signifies a leave taking, a boy pacing, scrambling the frequency, jamming the transmission. My boy is disappearing from radar. Thank you.
I'm Penelope Moffet, and I'm reading from Los Angeles. The first poem that I'll read is in the current Sheila-Na-Gig, and the other one is in a different publication also right now, this spring. And to provide the illusion that I'm looking at you, I'm going to read these from the computer. Okay. It's been a little while since I've done a Zoom reading, so pardon me. I'll go in. If it's deep enough, I'll swim. And by deep enough, I mean enough water that my fingers don't scrape as I breathe each third stroke. Watch bubbles rise, see what flickers underneath. If I can become small enough, I'll go in any meditation pond or creek. Even the scummy collecting pool at the Riders Mountain Workshop looks inviting. Even the blue aqueduct beside the interstate. Even cold Lake Tahoe. Even snowmelt Alaskan streams I barely keep myself from jumping into. Even salty waves that roll me under, calm chlorinated pools, the shrunken swimming hole on the Hasayampa River at Frog Falls, 2 breaths at most across. Even this full glass. And then the other one is called Summons. Beak open wide, the crow sits atop the lamppost outside my 3rd floor window. Soft thwack, thwack, thwack rises and falls in sync with shrugging shoulders as his feathers lift into dishevelment, sink back to smoothness, lift again. Is he calling his crow brothers, or is he talking to himself? Could he be summoning me into the wilder world? After a month of illness, I can look out again. He tells me, leave the cloister, write a poem on air. Thank you.
I'm Simona, reading from Northern California. Congratulations, Kris, on your beautiful collection. Always a pleasure and an honor to read at a Sheila-Na-Gig gathering. My first poem is from the current issue of Sheila-Na-Gig. On the Great Allegheny Passage, cycling along the water. From Pittsburgh's Point State Park, the trail, former rail, first follows the Monongahela River, then parallels the Yaganeni, a stream flowing in a contrary direction the Lenape people observed and named. Both the Mon and the Yak flow northward rather than eastward. I cycled contrary to the water flow, upstream and uphill. Had I been assured the tension of the opposing movements could have torn me apart. A river can be a boundary, the Amur, the Columbia, the Rio Grande. But when I saw anglers standing in the water like stepping stones between the shores, I saw the stream as the thread sewing the seam between lands, between people. We'll meet at water's edge, the river a liquid bridge between our hands. And to remain in the theme of bicycle riding, the next poem is in the current issue of Verse Virtual. April 2nd bicycle ride at Navalli, California. Lemon trees in neat rows on the hills along this country road. The branches studded with large fruits set among glossy leaves, yellow gems even more brilliant under the overcast sky on a break between spring showers, and the air smells of their zest. After a wedge had released its juice in cold water or hot tea, my brother and I would squeeze the lemon peel under our nose and spray sharp droplets. We giggled, sneezed. The bracing mist inhaled became part of us. The clicks of shifting gears beat a rhythm. The breeze gains strength, and suddenly the clouds, as if startled awake, spilled their wet wealth. I'm drenched. Headwind and shivers, a small fee for those deep breaths of lemonness. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hayley, and thank you, Kris. It's all been beautiful. All the open mics too. I live in Southern California, near where Hayley's parents live, and yet I don't think we did meet at AWP here, but usually we meet in Ohio, so it's kind of funny. First, I'm going to read the poem that was in the recent issue of Sheila-Na-Gig. And in the title, which is The Guilt the Wave Took, the guilt is in italics, and that's kind of important to know. The guilt the wave took. Before I could catch the word in my camera lens, before it sank into sand, before I could bank the rift in my heart, there on the beach, a small wave crept up, though the tide was low, a sea gift, and took the letters I had carved with the driftwood stick, its end like a twisted witch's hand. On that day of my divorce, a ritual to begin again. On that day when I felt adrift, the water, always my friend, erased the word I traced beneath my toes, and then I felt the sands begin to shift. And the next poem I'm going to read was recently in One Art, and it actually is situated in Ohio. So it's the title is Savoring Grace, and it has an epigraph from Annie Dillard. We have not yet encountered any God who is as merciful as a man who flicks a beetle over on its feet. John carries wasps in cups, one by one, releases them to the outside where they will do no harm or be harmed by curious cats. He comes by it naturally. His father before him was a legendary skunk relocator. Spotting a skunk one day in the Little League outfield, he took the creature by the tail, deposited it on the fence away from fly balls and curious boys. If John could save the ants, he would. He tries to corral or redirect them. Like herding cats, they follow their own path. Meanwhile, fruit flies drown in the temptation of the kitchen jar. Sometimes you have to sacrifice for the greater good. Holes in the siding are left unplugged until the fledglings have flown. Some spring, walls patched, he will begin to build his nest. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lynn. I'm calling from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, calling in. This poem, I tell a new lover about my dead father. It was in the last Sheila-Na-Gig, March. Thank you. I tell my new lover about my dead father. He could light his pipe in a windstorm. Why is this the first thing I say? But I can see him so clearly, my dad, with one hand on the tiller, mouthpiece clamped between molars, right thumb swiping the match head against flint strip, the spark, the blaze, his torso a fortress against lake breezes as he sucks the flame bullward, moist shreds, crackling orange, smoke billowing before being whipped away. Ready about? Why didn't I tell him how frightened I was? Though he never touched me. How he never touched me. In the introduction that never happens, my father holds forth from his red leather wingback, interview style. He knocks his pipe against the heavy green glass ashtray 5, 6, 7 times, a clanking halyard, a seagull caw above the whisper of our presence. Have you ever considered investing in silver? I can guess what my new lover would say, something polite, vaguely deferential. But I hope he hears the muffled longing, an invitation to a friendship, a desire for someone he can take out sailing, talk S&P, WSJ, stability, volatility, the risks of investing in metal. No matter how many poems I write about my dead father, this new lover will never understand my sullen silences or sudden moods, or the dread that haunts the father-shaped hole in me, how I learned what I must do to keep the love of a man, why I now refuse to. And this is a poem that hasn't found a home yet. It's called On Clearance. You are half off at the dollar store checkout counter. An afterthought, poor thing. Your soil parched. Succulent stems and dildo blooms, wilted and drooping. I add you to my purchases, take you home where you guzzle desperately. Each day you seem to plump, your pallor less dusty, one petal in particular like hardening wax, until the fourth morning I find you limp and flimsy, your soil still damp. It's okay, I say, disappointed. But like always, I spare your feelings.
I'm Andrew Cleary. Thanks, Lynn, and thanks everyone for sharing your work. It's really fantastic to hear all these. I'm going to read two poems that were in the most recent Sheila-Na-Gig. This first one is called Out of Season. As it describes the heron, ringed blue and copper, wading in a spillway where other stately birds are more commonly preferred. Wading anyway, searching the drain where gravity tires aging fish. As it describes the pond, lower now from rain, falling not as we have known it to, or our parents knew, or theirs before. Water anyway that falls simply downhill everywhere surrounding, but here is made by thought and engineering to hold a fish, a heron, bare survival punctuated by rest. As it seemed, Eliot said that the world was filled with fragments of systems. A poet, like a magpie, picked up torn pieces of misinterpretations and stuck them about here and there in his verse. This was perhaps an exhortation to do something more, as though a poet weren't merely a magpie. As it describes a thought that the world should be some way improved, not just for you, but for all, until the thought is lost in the pulling drain. Fish that knew they were fleeing and fish ignorant alike, swept, as they say, by history, like leaves which anyway can fly in self-contained glory, without delusion that they must pile here, glow there, or do more than grow, express wealth, curl and return, not timeless, not timely, together and without time. As was sometimes called leisure, a pole opposite and harmonious with effort, as the heron, sated, lightly striding in case another meal should present, returns to the reeds that provide the common animal comfort, a sheltered place from which to see, the same as the great frame of the window in Vuillard's garden view, which turns a landscape into a place known to be human, and for the heron is the world, no other herons, no sea, no frost or drought or anything beyond or after. And this second poem I'm going to read is called Vuillard's Bedroom. I wrote these poems really a long time apart, but I guess it turns out some things you just keep thinking about. So there's Vuillard again with his paintings. Vuillard's Bedroom. I'll take you there. The wallpaper flowers will fade to fog like the distant console. Its basin holds water still warm from us washing our hands together. It's a landscape, no matter what the museum card says. We'll go with our bodies the way Vuillard would paint us, no matter the distance, by love superadding, the daily sight of you, a lace-turned coverlet, fine wrinkle as we are, postures turned like lathed side chairs. Complex bodies simply seen here in a sun too diffuse to burn. Better in paint than we could ever live. His eye is like my eye for you. Invited by the vanishing point to where domestic days quietly enclose all grand designs. No need to justify the delight in every inch, Judgment spills some other canvas. Here, life increases. Thank you.
Thank you, Hayley, and thank you, Kris. This has been a great reading, and thank you, everyone. I'm going to read two poems. The first was in the latest Sheila-Na-Gig. It's called All Hallows Guilt Trip. My dead sit around a campfire, roasting my life, gnawing on my aching bones. So I slip away from the dome of haunting light and startle into an interview with Dracula, who is sharpening his teeth. Bite me, I say, walking on, unafraid of his mesmerism and terrible widow's peak. Around the dark bend, I push aside my overweight conscience, a golem now untroubled as literally nothing has occurred of late. I stumble into a marble bench where I find my malformed childhood, a creepy broken doll lumped in an angry pile, worrying her future like a string of wooden beads. And that's when I run, afraid of everything she did. Stealing Laura Goodwin's pens, hitting Sister Sarah whack, 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 spying on the long letters in Dad's deep desk drawer. And that's all before she glomped into a teenager, wild with grief, racked with guilt that it was her fault her father died. She could have been kinder, stronger, better at every single bloody turn. Suddenly, I need Dracula to drain me, take me back to the beginning, the years before the campfire dead were dead, before I was ever born. But even though I push through the forest, he's finished his grooming, transformed into a wisp of creature, a vampire bat circling a full moon that shines so bright, I close my eyes against everything I cannot change. And this one's really new, and it's based on something my mother said recently. My mother has dementia, and she has provided me with so many lines I can't even tell you. This one's called Hair of the Dog. My mother bites into a piece of milk chocolate, a snap in the memory care unit. She sighs. It's like cutting into a dog, she says. And of course, she is right. Her areas of strength are verbal and language abilities. Isn't a dog the best thing in the world? Cutting into one a gift, a glory, seeing how animal goodness works. She sighs again. Will we always be together? Her areas of weakness are executive function, so she needs us to keep her safe, arrange her meals and personal care, provide the TV that airs the sound of music and friends all day long. She needs to sit with Bob, who holds her hand and tells her about the vacations they will take and how they will drive across the whole United States to visit their cousins. Early on, we followed the advice about medication, diet, and sleep, but what could tomatoes and olive oil do against a brain netted with forgetting? What can possibly help at this point? My mother curls into a question mark in her wheelchair, the disease taking away so much more than memory. Who are you? She asks, cutting into the dog again. Tell me one more time. Thank you.
Those were beautiful, Jessica. Thank you, Hayley and Kris, for starting us off. This is such a lovely gathering. My name is Alison Townsend, and I'm reading to you from 4 Acres of Prairie and Oak Savanna atop a drumlin hill outside Madison, Wisconsin. However, for those of you in Southern California, I lived in Claremont, the Claremont-Pomona area for over a decade, so it's one of my many homes. I still miss the West Coast so much. There's a 10,000-year-old lake outside my window, but it's not the Pacific. I'm going to read my 2 poems that were in Sheila-Na-Gig. The first one goes back to a chicken house, Kris. My mother had chickens. We lived on a farm in eastern Pennsylvania when I was a kid, and she always had Rhode Island Reds. And so It was about her. Another kind of enunciation. I didn't know when I followed my mother into the chicken house to feed her flock of Rhode Island Reds that we were entering a holy place. It was dark outside, the darkest time of the year, and I didn't want to wait alone in the shadow beside the water barrel, chips of ice sparking its surface like small frozen stars. So I trailed her into the room that smelled of pine shavings and straw, lit by the few bulbs that kept her hands warm. I plunged my hands into the bags of cracked corn and scratched grain, savoring the way it spilled gold between my fingers. I watched her fill the feeders with mash and top off the water, listening as she greeted her hens by name: Mildred, Redtop, Junket, Fluff, their ruddy feathers shining in the fust and dust of the coop. I didn't ask what she was thinking. I didn't need to, standing so close, a girl version of her as I copied her gestures, the hens murmuring around us. All I needed to do was watch her face as she cared for her brood, and the way light seemed to move inside her, illuminating her smooth cheeks, her blue eyes with their long lashes, her chapped and smiling lips. In 2 years, she would be dead. The hens gone, our farmhouse empty and cold, night tinting every cell of my body. But now, in December, the way she glowed that evening unfolds inside me, and I see my loss is also the source of my light. My second poem is for my sister, Jenny. And we spent our adolescence in rural New York State. And I'm old enough that I had a completely free range, I'd say downright feral childhood. We were always walking on dirt roads and nobody ever knew where we were. So this is called Walking Home with My Sister. And like many sister relationships, it wasn't the easiest. We love one another fiercely, but we fight like cats and dogs. Walking home with my sister. One afternoon when I was 17, the year I was about to leave home forever, you and I walked up Fields Lane on our way back home from someplace I can no longer remember. We were always walking past stone walls, meadows, woods where mountain laurel lifted their clusters of white fire from among quilts of glossy green leaves. It was May or June, the dirt road dark and damp beneath our feet, light flickering through the trees so that we walked in and out of shade, our faces clear, then shadowed, then clear again as we moved along, talking, then falling silent, easy together. It felt as if we had walked that way forever, you always 3 years younger, taking the inside edge, me blazing the way, walking on the outside, my body a shield if a car came, anything to protect you. My whole life lay ahead, the Pacific waiting on the other side of the country like the mother we'd lost as girls, but all I could think of was leaving you and the country roads we'd walk together, two ragamuffin kids, doing the best we could, sisterhood like sunlight cupping our cheeks. Nothing I did for you ever seemed enough, not saving up beech nut fruit stripe gum wrappers to earn you a green and white tiger, not sitting beside you on the bed when your first period came, not speaking up in your defense when you got caught hiding your boyfriend in the barn. But I tried. The pair of us, companion weeds that grew by the side of the road, resilient and hardy, foxtails and thistles, ryegrass, and the chicory our mother had loved best for its flowers of heavenly blue that last only a day. Now you criticize or cut me off, totting up emails, listing grievances, and the many ways I've failed you. I pull curtains of rain around me for protection. Dappled by the green, we walked through towards some sunlit shore on the other side of loss and sorrow. Do you remember the walking, Jenny, and those dirt roads that led toward home and away? Do you remember the chicory, the blue petals, the exact color of mercy? Thank you so much.
Alison, those were both wonderful. Love them. I'm Michael Shoffstall in Hudson, Ohio. And this first poem was not the one in Sheila-Na-Gig. I will read that one second. This is Whorl and Jowl. As Sawyer at 6 months sleeps at my shoulder, I watch the whorl of his soft new hair shimmer like a spiral galaxy whirling deeper into space 14 billion years after the birth of an ever-expanding universe. And I see my face in his face in my 2-inch first grade photograph. Each morning, my dead grandfather looks back at me in the bathroom mirror, his jowls on my face, as my grandchild now looks up at me, reaches his uncertain fingers to pinch and then grip my face by both jowls as if embracing fully the countless generations of his family lineage, all the whorl and jowl of it. It is as if a through line exists from the cosmic Big Bang to each new unfolding moment, a through line from my mother's father to my daughter's son with me as conduit, a through line from the galactic tides that shape an infinite universe to the infinitesimal nucleotides that bind us together through the expanse. And this next one is the one that was in Sheila-Na-Gig. I don't normally like to do too much of an introduction, but this is an ekphrastic poem. And I didn't want to try to share my screen. So this is after Grant Wood's charcoal drawing in the spring from 1939. And so I'll just describe it briefly. Like a lot of Grant Wood's paintings and drawings, it's a landscape with rolling hills, and there's a farmer dressed as you would be in 1939 with kind of a satisfied look on his face because he's just put in a row of fence posts. And it then made me think about what was going on in 1939 with my family, and then also how the world was going to change very dramatically very soon after that. This is Spring Soliloquy, 1939. I'm tired, but it's a good tired. Now the fence posts are dug and buried. Stringing strands of barbed wire, well, that will have to happen later because spring planting won't wait. 200 acres isn't much, but it's mine and the damn bank's. And if I can't keep up, all of it will be lost to the Jimson weeds that will invade by fall with their spiked grenades of seeds. God willing, one of our 6 kids will live to farm this same land. In 3 months, I'll send out our next to youngest, 10-year-old Kurt, to wrench out by hand the Jimson plants, already 3 feet tall, taller than the hopeful rows of wheat, and not hard to spot what with those brazen white trumpets for flowers. Even for a young boy, it's not hard work, but boy, once those black seeds ripen and trench themselves into the soil, you'll be battling Jimson weed for decades. Another 3 months, and we'll listen as our Emerson Bakelite radio broadcasts Panzer tanks have rolled across Poland. Within 6 years, our 3 oldest sons, Russell, Gerald, Donald, will have crossed the Atlantic, will have seen men mown down like wheat stubble, will have marched through tread tracks not made by tractors, And when they finally come home, it will be with different names, soldiers' names, Pete, Doc, Dutch, other changes too, ones that don't have names. But here in this moment, in this calm Ohio spring, my work in the fields is done. Like most nights, I'll turn on the radio, listen to the Reds game, and not even care how radio waves follow the Earth's curvature, or whether we share those same stars with farmers in Poland as I stare up at the glassy, as yet unfractured sky. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, and to all of our invited mic readers tonight. Our Sheila-Na-Gig community is always growing, and we have a couple of people here tonight who is first-time readers here on our venue. So welcome to you, and we always welcome back our old friends. So very excited to keep this series going. And many thanks to Kris Whorton and her book, Everyday Omens, now available and shipping at Sheila-Na-Gig. And you can find all this stuff at Sheila-Na-Gig-blog.com. And tune in next week is April 30th, and we will be hosting Joe Cottonwood from California. So that's going to be another great reading as well. Thank you, everybody.